Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, he's going to say hello. Welcome to episode 3 of Uniquely Lutheran. If you're watching us live all over the world, it is whatever time zone you are in. By the way, happy day to my friends in Australia from Carnival Cruise Lines who said they might be watching today. I know it is 4 in the morning tomorrow. So actually, this isn't uniquely Lutheran in that we're going to do them on a Wednesday, which is what we would traditionally do. Never mind. I am Al Ernst. This is Pastor Jeff Gross, and he is going to open us up with a prayer.
Great. Gracious God, we ask that you come to us today as we reflect upon that great commandment to honor our fathers and mothers, honor all those who have been our role models, and give us the opportunity to honor our society by living on that legacy and passing it on. Bless us during our Lenten journey, and bless all who are watching and all who are not watching as well. And we ask that you may be with us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And it's always good to bless the people not watching. Well, why are you not watching? That would be the question.
Because they can't. Because they can't. Right.
Anyway, welcome to our episode 3. For us, it is March the 2nd, 2021. We are at about 12:05. We're a couple of minutes late, only because our scramble with our huge production team, which would be our great administrator Amy, me, and Jeff, are running around going, this isn't plugged in, this isn't working. And now we are working, and we will continue to attempt to be on time towards the noon hour. So enjoy your lunches if you're doing that. If you're watching us at some other time, there is no better must-see YouTube or Facebook live television or video than these episodes of Uniquely Lutheran. Why am I still wearing a mask when I cannot infect any of you, nor can you infect me? It is to just tell you that I have an example that those of you watching in the state of Florida, just very quickly, this is our community service segment. The governor has lifted the age limits on people who have what they call core morbidities. And that means if you have asthma, if you've had a heart problem, autoimmune disease, obesity, which just qualifies me. And if you want to know how to get obesity, I'm available for some personal coaching. We can meet at a pizza place, and I can really instruct you how to get this to get your shot early. Actually, you can go online and you can register an appointment. I can tell you from personal experience, they are difficult to get, as I am going to be getting my vaccine this coming Friday, but not in the central Florida, southwestern Florida area that I reside. I am actually going to be making the 4.5-hour trek north to Jacksonville, believe it or not. That was the closest availability for Friday. I will be in a random Winn-Dixie store. I'm not even sure I'm going to trust that. I may end up in the deli section, and I'll never make my time. But just letting you know, community service, if you are under the age of 65 and you have some type of health issue, you are now eligible to get vaccinated, and we want you vaccinated. Yes, so that we can all come together again without masks on and really continue to do the great service. So that out of the way, our second item of business, so that we just do not forget. You're going, Al, what great production values do you have here? You have a whiteboard with a badly numbered 100 on the very top of it. Well, we are going to put a challenge out there to you. According to our crack administrator, Amy, with YouTube and I guess Facebook, we get some advantages on becoming a 100 subscriber channel. So if we can get 100 subscribers to the New Life either Facebook page, right, YouTube channel and Facebook page, we will get some one of the advantages to continue to spread this great show, because I know a lot of you are going, Al, this has been fantastic. Jeff gets standing ovations every time he walks in. Well, no, that's the church, and that's the opening hymn.
That's right.
Never mind. But we need 100, folks. And Amy, you can use your fingers, so you don't even have to talk. Where are we at? Approximately 35, 34. Wow, folks, come on.
And you can get your friends to subscribe too.
Thank you.
Even if they don't necessarily watch. But it would be nice if they did. If we can get just 200 people to subscribe, or 300, that'd even be better. But I know on Facebook you can invite people to subscribe.
Please do that. And do you want us on 24/7? We will do that unless you get us those subscribers. And I don't think you want to turn on your Facebook every time and see our mugs talking about anything except for what we're doing right now. So that's the threat. We'll stay on forever until we get it. Right. All right. So 100 is our number. Our UL, that is not our logo yet, but it is calling ourselves Uniquely Lutheran, which is getting into our topic of the day. And Jeff, before you go into the actual meat of your topic, why don't you kind of give folks an overview as to what our envisionment of our Lenten gatherings and services prior to Easter was going to be, so we can catch the new people up.
As you can tell, if you haven't figured it out by now, we're not going for the conventional Lenten route. And part of it is because, of course, our hands are tied because of COVID-19. But the other part of it is this is a new, refreshing venue to be able to reach out to you in a different way and to allow me to live out my fantasy about being a newscaster. But I think the best part of what we're trying to do is we're trying to really change our attitude about Lent and see it for what it is, as opposed to the way we perceived it in the past, where it's not. It's not a sad time. Lent is a joyful time to get closer to God. And instead of focusing on things you shouldn't be doing, we're going to give you opportunities to focus on the things that you can do that will bring enrichment and happiness and joy to your life, and of course to give honor to our God and bless our neighbors as well.
Well, and that's really cool. And so what we're saying is that we're biblically based in terms of the idea, because we're going to we're doing a 10 Commandment series that we'll get into in a minute. Also, I want you to talk a little bit about how Luther, which is our theologian, our father theologian, if you want to say it, for our church in the Christian community. How did Luther view the doing things biblically based, and especially things like the 10 Commandments? Didn't he write some guidance?
Yes. What Luther did is he brought the basic teachings of the Christian faith. He wasn't even shooting to create anything really Lutheran, but Christian. And all Christians believe in the 10 Commandments. All Christians believe pray the Lord's Prayer. And all Christians celebrate the sacraments in one form or another. And he compiled all of this in the Catechism. And one of the ways in which we can look at each one of the 10 Commandments is not only the commandments, but the explanations to those commandments. And he gave a challenge in those explanations to do something proactive to advance the kingdom of God by living out our faith. Not just abstain from, but do something. And there are only 2 commandments where Moses, not Luther, but God gave to Moses. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. That's the 3rd commandment in the Lutheran numbering. And 4th commandment is honor thy father and mother. And those are the 2 thou shalt commandments. And today I just wanted to talk a little bit about the 4th commandment, honor your father and mother.
Okay, and as we do that, now we find the Ten Commandments in the book of Exodus, correct?
And Deuteronomy.
And Deuteronomy,
Yeah.
which is a part of the Old Testament. So the other question for some people that are now just still trying to learn, we will be into the heart of this, but I just want to build this base. When you are a Christian, what is the chief difference, and do we honor the Old Testament in the same way as we would the New Testament? Because I know we have basically two books in one there.
Yeah, and I think some call it the Hebrew Testament and the Greek Testament, depending on how you choose to look at the two testaments. Is those of us who have received the gospel can go back and read the New Testament in a completely different way than before that occurred. The New Testament's the good news that empowers us to go back and read the old stuff and look at the law in a completely different way that we saw it before. In one day, the law was the means to an end. Now that ends has been accomplished on the cross. So anything that we do to honor God is a privilege. It's no longer a burden. It's a privilege.
Fantastic. Wow. And what a neat way to look at the Old Testament, because if you read it just as it's written, it's kind of I wouldn't call it mean-spirited, but it's a very rules-oriented kind.
There are a lot of really good stories. I mean, David and Goliath, and Noah and the Ark, and Samson and Delilah. That's all Old Testament stuff too. But you're right. You can really get mired into the legalism and sometimes get a little discouraged if you don't have the foreknowledge. It's kind of like read the end of the book and then come back to the beginning.
Well, and that's the first time anybody has recommended that, but that's true. I mean, that's true in this sense. And as we continue, possibly with the great popularity of this show, to go weekly after Lent is over with, we can get into some of the other areas of the Old Testament where you have some prophecies, and stories of and how that they can be grounded and determined in our own walk, because some of these are people are taking them and using algorithms to say this and that is happening in the modern day because of this and that. I think you have some explanations as to why those prophets did what they did and how they did.
Well,
maybe it's a little different.
One thing I would just say really quickly about the prophets, their primary audience were the people who they were talking to, not those of us who lived 1,000 years later, 2,000 years later, 3,000 years later. Their primary audience were to get people right with God. And so most of the time, if you go to the prophets and you're looking for Psychic Friends Network, you're not going to find it. You're going to find someone who sees the people of God straying from the religion of God and bringing them back into course. It's like Elijah. Elijah really wasn't too concerned about the future as much as he was about the present. He was most definitely a prophet. So that's one of the many ways you can look at prophecy, and it's actually pretty exciting when you get a chance to really look at it.
Wonderful. I hope we do that down the road. Let's go to the meat of today. And we are in the Ten Commandments, and you are at commandment number 4. All right. Please go ahead.
Now, some of our friends that are Presbyterians and Methodists would say, you mean Commandment 5, don't you? And different Christians number the commandments a little bit differently. I'm not going to go into that today. I can just say Lutherans and Catholics, we number them the same way. And the 4th commandment is the commandment that gives us an opportunity to honor our parents. What's not in the catechism which is more biblical than Lutheran, is that this is the only commandment, and I'm reading Deuteronomy 5:16. It's honor your father and your mother, as the Lord your God has commanded you, so that you may live long and that it may go well with you in the land the Lord your God is giving you. It's the only commandment that has a promise connected to it. So in the promise is a prosperous life. So there's an incentive to honoring our parents, and I think there's lots of ways to do it, even if you aren't a parent or even if you don't have parents. We all have an opportunity to be a role model to somebody, and we all have an opportunity to take on that role of being like a surrogate dad to somebody who's in need, or a surrogate mom.
So almost what am I hearing you say, that you should honor your mentor? Is
Yes.
mentor a good word?
Mentor is not only a good word, you will find that it's abundant. After we had a conversation, Al and I had a conversation about this, and I went back and I looked in the New Testament, primarily the Acts of the Apostles and the letters of Paul, and that's pretty much the only kind of relationship people had. A lot of Christians were orphaned. They had no place to go but to their mentor. And so that mentor is a very prevalent relationship in the New Testament, and one of the best examples is the relationship Timothy had with Paul, as Paul was the mentor to Timothy. And that was really in many ways like a father-son relationship.
And if people wanted to kind of read how that happened, where would they go in the Bible to read about some of those?
I would go to the Acts of the Apostles, is one of those unsung books of the Bible that really ought to be read over and over again. And you can look at the pastoral epistles of Timothy, 1st and 2nd Timothy, and you can see the dialogue between Paul, who is the mentor to his student / surrogate son, Timothy.
Really interesting. So really now what we're moving into, relating it to the New Testament and to our life as Christians, would be taking action to help bring others along. And
that's correct.
And the book of Acts was, so you would say, as much as the actual, of course, honor your father, mother, the whole honoring idea might be looking at the Acts of the Apostles and seeing the honor that's done there.
Well, what you'll see, and this is beautiful, because the Acts is not a letter, it's a story. And you see the story of God's people. You see the story of the mentors, and you see the story of the apostles, and the way they take these young Christians under their arms and nurture them in the faith.
Really cool stuff. And that completely different than as we visit some of the other commandments throughout the week. But you were mentioning the fact that we want to honor our mentors. We have examples of honoring our mentors. What about within the church? Did you becoming a pastor? Do you have people that you would say are mentors to you?
Well, one of the beautiful things about, I'm going to come out and say, one of the beautiful things about infant baptism is my mom and dad were mentors. They nurtured me in the faith, and my godparents, and they've taken on the role, and that's really what a godparent is, someone who's an additional mentor. And I think of the Sunday school teachers, I think of my pastors, I think of a whole community of people. It wasn't just one person, it was a whole community of people that really spoke to me and really inspired me to move forward to become a minister. And that's God's working through those people, God working through those people.
All right, so let me ask you this. And when we talk about this, not only do we talk about us honoring our mentors, but would you say a part of your walk as a Christian, as that person, is to be ready to engage as a mentor?
I think so, and I think I believe, yeah, more than think so, yes. And when you are a mentor, you're just bringing love to somebody who needs some love. And I was going to ask you, Al, if you've got some examples of in your life where you've had a mentor or been a mentor that have brought enrichment to your life.
Well, I mean, I'll go. I love the fact that we expand our vocabulary here when you say enrichment to my life. My old plain term speaking is, did it change my life? Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it did. But I also challenge you out there that are watching to understand you have mentors, but also you are a mentor, and it might not be in the church God area. It might be in something completely different, but yet you are, as a Christian, mentoring, and you're doing the work of God, even when that word God, Christian, Jesus, isn't even said in that sentence. You are still acting on those. So looping back, yes, I've had a couple of mentors, and I believe that I've been a mentor, absolutely. My main one, I was the first person in Sarasota, Florida to be considered a little brother in the Big Brothers, Big Sisters organization when it came to Sarasota back in 1974, 75. My big brother is the man by the name of Ken Hoffman. Ken was the program director at the Sarasota Y, the only Y at that time, over on Euclid Avenue by Alta Vista School. I met him because I got in trouble because they used to have a snack machine in the front, and I did not realize they raised the money of the item you could get out of the snack machine from 10 cents to a quarter, and I put my dime in there. I didn't get my snack. I got mad. I started doing what we all do, and that's rocking the machine to try to get the candy to fall. And of course, they saw me, got in trouble, and I ended up in Ken's office. And it was at that point that a relationship that changed my life was made. Ken was a young guy starting his career, served the YMCA for 40 years in different roles. Now living outside of Birmingham, Alabama. He was in his first professional Y job here in Sarasota. I became a fixture there. So Ken was really my big brother before he was my big brother. And then they formalized the organization. We became a match pair, and I'd say we've been a match pair ever since. And rarely have we lost contact. Ken was the best man in my wedding. Ken and his wife and our families have traveled together on several cruises that I've been on. Most recently, we were on the Cuba cruise with Carnival Cruise Lines. Ken is now in his 70s. I'm getting ready to turn 60, and he still is that same mentor figure to me that he is now. In addition to that, I have gotten the privilege of becoming a big brother, and in that time period, it's been interesting for me because I worked the road, as many of you know, many, many, many years, and never felt I had the time to commit to a little brother. And even when I made that commitment, I still had my worries about that. But what I realized is that when things happen, they happen for a reason, and you make it work. And although the past year I have not had that issue with my little brothers, I've also not been able to see them as much as I could because of COVID. And we didn't know that, but we're kind of getting reestablished. My little brother now is 17. We were matched when he was 11. We have been all over the place, to ball games, to Busch Gardens, and everybody. It's funny when we get together to do these events. All the bigs, as they call them, go. Oh, I helped tutor my my kid in school, and I did this, and they go, what did you do, Al? And I went, we went to Fright Nights at Busch Gardens. And they're looking at me like, and it's only because of this. Folks, mentoring happens mostly when you don't call it mentoring.
Right. That's a good point.
And you can say that this man has grown to be a trusted confidant in my pastor, and I dare say that in his mentor of my walk in the past few months of making my growth, he's done that in the moments where he has not been a pastor, right, in the formalist sense of that. So there's your challenge. Your challenge becomes those things. Now, I grew up because my dad passed away when I was, very young, less than a year old, or just a little over a year old. I had several of these kind of mentor role models in my life. You grew up in more of a traditional family, which I think also needs to be spoken to. Talk to me about the dynamic between, because we haven't even gotten into mothers. We just have almost talked primarily about sons and fathers, and we have, I can give you a whole nother group of ways that my mother mentored me, including calling the police on our own son. Can you believe that? Yes, it did happen. We'll say that.
We'll have an entire episode just on that phone call.
But talk to me. You grew up more. Talk to me about your, and I'm very blessed. Both of my parents are alive and well, and they're in the life of my children who are alive and well. And one of the great joys of being a son is to be able to be a dad and to carry on the legacy that was passed down for me from generation to generation. And I love my parents very much, and I'm very blessed and fortunate. And when we come to these commandments, and we're not insensitive to the fact that not everybody has a mom and dad who are alive and well, or has had the opportunity of having children. This commandment still speaks to you in one very special way. Everybody can be a role model. Everybody can be a positive figure in someone's life. And I've had numerous people who are not necessarily moms and dads who have been just as an instrumental role in shaping my faith as those who were. So I just want that blessing to be known. All of you are eligible for that. Wow, just like the vaccine.
Yep.
So before we get out of here, give them a preview of next week's episode, where we would be at commandment number 5 or 6.
Five, we're going to talk about giving as opposed to taking, and just to put a positive spin on thou shalt not steal.
There you go.
All right.
So that's a nice tease for next week's show. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, I may be back to haunt you during the week on some live shots. 100. We need 100. Now, 100. We need your help to get us to 100. We are uniquely Lutheran. Jeff Gross, you can see him. Catch him. I'm doing a big promo for you. You can catch him on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. on Facebook Live and YouTube as we broadcast the New Life Lutheran Church worship service.
Yep.
You don't want to miss it. He got tons of praise for his sermon last week that I heard. I can't imagine how great it's going to be this week. Yep. So with that, I will say, I'm Allard. Please enjoy your Christian walk. See, you can laugh, you can have fun, and you can do it all right here with us on Being Uniquely Lutheran.
God bless.